What is that? Could it be that Ashley and Manuel actually like each other? But I think we just saw a glimpse of what has kept Ashley and Manuel together. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. I'm Nikki. I'm so happy that you're here. If you're new here, I post recaps and commentary on all things 90 Day Fiance. Can't get enough of it and you want to chit chat with someone that's equally as obsessed as you, hit the subscribe button. But you're here to get into Ashley and Manuel, so let's get into these two. So we catch up with him running away from the double date. If you guys recall, Manuel ran away because he did not appreciate Ashley questioning him about the kind of money that he wants her to send away to his family. Ashley stays back and she's with her friend, and you can tell that she really just wants to leave this date and go after Manuel. But her friend is looking at her and she's like, girl, are you willing to go around chasing this man all your life? Because this behavior is only going to get worse. And she's not wrong, right? Like, this is clearly a pattern of his, that he likes to run away when things get too uncomfortable. Ashley is still in this place where she has invested a lot in this relationship, and yeah, right now she is going to chase him. So she eventually gets home. He looks like he's already been there, and he's watching soccer, and Ashley's like, you can't do this. You can't keep running away. Like, I get worried about your safety. And I thought about that too. I'm like, I don't know what the population looks like in Rochester, but you know, you are a man of color, you don't know English, like, you really shouldn't be out here walking in the night by yourself. It takes her a second to get his attention because this whole time that she's talking, he's like trying to watch the game. And finally, he's like, listen, you can tell your friends your business, but don't tell them mine. And she's like, well, your business is my business because you're making it my business. And we're trying to create this life together. Like, we need to talk about this. Like, and he ends up pissing her off. She ends up walking off. He keeps watching soccer and nothing is resolved that night. And while Manuel's delivery is not the best, he's making some points about something. When he says, tell your friends your business, not mine. So we really have to choose wisely the things that we decide to share with our friends and family, anyone that loves us. Because let's say, particularly in their situation, right? They bicker a lot. They get into a lot of arguments. If you tell your friends every single argument, they're going to be like, damn, like all they do is fight. Meanwhile, post every argument, you're like, my man, my man, my man, and you're fine. But while you might have moved on quickly from an argument, your friends who owe him nothing are pissed. Their resentment is growing, and you're like, what's wrong? Like, we're together, like, support us. But how can you expect them to support what you have if you've told them about every single thing? And we have seen examples of Ashley doing this in real time, because while he was in the car last episode, she calls her friend about the coffee fight. The coffee fight is not one that I would have shared. The money thing, yeah, it's a little more serious. Definitely, you know, I definitely understand, like, trying to get their advice in navigating the situation. But yeah. So he is right in that, right? And I would imagine that he would feel very exposed, right? Like, you're telling our business to your friend, and I can't really defend myself because I don't know the language. I can definitely empathize with Manuel in that aspect. On the other hand, I do think that she wouldn't rely on her friend so much if he actually sat there and talked through their problems. And Ashley brings up a really important point, that she's like, he doesn't want me to trust in my friends with our issues, but he also doesn't want me to connect with his family. And then he doesn't want to do any talking. So it's like, he wants her to bottle that in? Not a professional in any way, but that sounds unhealthy to me. There's got to be some sort of release, or she's going to explode, and they're not going to make it till the wedding day. So they need to start talking. And so as they're showing us these scenes, I'm like, are we really about to get another episode of these two having the same fight? Surprisingly, no. So we get a turning point. We see them go to Lake Ontario, and there must have been something about the water, something about the view. It was really peaceful. Manuel was visibly taking it in. And Ashley notices that Manuel is really pensive. Just looking around, and he's like, by far, this is my favorite place. And I guess this peaceful environment really allows them to dig deep, which we haven't seen. She asks him how he's feeling, and he says that he really misses his country, he really misses his family. It's just been hard for him. It's like, I can imagine that it's been a hard transition for you. And the conversation quickly becomes about money again, but in a different way, right? He tells her that life for him is very different, and that sometimes those differences are so overwhelming for him that he lashes out. There are things that are big to him that are just another day for her. And we saw it a little bit in a previous scene where they were going out to eat, and Ashley was planning for their wedding to be in Florida because it's a really beautiful place, and she was looking up flights, and she was showing him the flight prices, and the numbers that she's giving him sound normal to me. But to him, he's like, with that money that you want to spend on the flights, we could have the biggest wedding ever in Ecuador. That money, my family could live off of it really well. And that's just where he's at. And when that conversation was happening, a few things. I was like, sir, every cent that she makes, every cent that she has, can't only be sent to your family. Like, you guys have to live, and like, she deserves that wedding. And that's what a bit of what Ashley was saying, that she was like, I want to still help him and show up for him as his partner, but I don't want to give up the things that I want. Like, I've dreamt about my wedding all my life, and this is hopefully the only time that I'll get married. Like, I want it to be how I picture it. And as she should, right? It's her money. However, but obviously, Manuel doesn't know how the money translates to like our culture here. So of course, when he looks at a certain number, he immediately converts it to what it would be in Ecuador. But the cost of living is different here. So part of it, I totally get that, right? For him. But then on Ashley, I'm like, Ashley, I know that you are trying to make it like we're making this decision together. But I think it's adding more stress to the relationship because he doesn't understand it. Her act of, let's do this together, is backfiring. And so he's getting upset at her because he's like, this is an obscene number that you're spending. She knows what their budget is. I think that until he starts working and understands what the money means in the cost of living of Rochester, she should just be like, it's taken care of. And obviously be mindful of the budget. But her showing him constantly the numbers that he's not really understanding will always cause conflict because he doesn't get it. So it's like, save yourself the trouble. But anyway, I say all that to say that when they're at the beach, he brings it up. He's like, things that seem small to you are big to me. And while I don't agree that he should be lashing out, this, he's giving us a little insight into the way his mind is working. Yeah, when he was breaking it down, I'm like, yeah, the culture shock must be wild. Lashing out is not going to let him get his way. He is old enough. He should be able to use his words. And even more so, Ashley really wants to understand him. Constantly seen in their scenes that she's never leading with no. She's always just asking follow-up questions to understand. Because she does want to help, but she also wants to do it within their means, And you can tell that the minute she saw that he was opening up, she took the opportunity because this check-in was long overdue. And so Ashley tells him, she's like, listen, I understand. But I also, in me trying to understand you, I need you to also try to understand me. She tells him, she's like, I had a lifestyle and habits that I kept and that I've compromised and adjusted to bring you here and to hopefully keep you here. It's like, so, we need to keep working on this together. And, he's not being defensive. He's being receptive. And he gives her more information. And you guys, at this point, I'm like, this man is talking. Like, I was like, bare minimum, but finally, right? So he shares, he's like, this has been really hard for him because he's been a provider for his family since he was 13. And wow, that's a lot of pressure. And, he says that, like, all his life, they know that they can count on him. And so he's always been that provider. And he says that he's made it so that they never have to ask for help because he's so on it. Which is a gift and a curse, right? Because it's like, it's the American part of my brain that's like, what about you? But community is so important. Community care is so important. So I get it. And he says that he will never forget about them. That when Ashley signed up for him, she signed up for everyone that's behind him. And that makes sense to me. What I don't appreciate about the whole situation is that he wasn't explicit with it. And that kind of expectation, you have to be explicit. I think that she knew that, support for his kids would be involved. I think that she knew that here and there, some money for the family. But it sounds like he was providing for them on a very consistent basis. And that kind of expectation, you really can't be mysterious about that. And that was my qualm with Manuel. That I'm like, you have to be upfront about this expectation, especially if, like, you need it to be delivered. Like, Ashley needed to know what she was signing up for. And I think that she is willing. But this conversation was so important to be had because she realized, like, wow, like, he is a provider in a big way. And also, I think that she could see that there's a bit of guilt for him, that, like, he's not providing it himself the way he's used to, And it became really clear to her as well that he doesn't want to let them down. So she's like, I don't want to let them down either, but I also don't want to compromise more than I have. I need to get my dream wedding. And that's where Ashley's at, right? But this was a huge turning point, I think. So far from everything that we've seen. This is the first time that we've seen his softer side. This is the first time that we've seen him just really share his thoughts without running away, without, making some machista joke. Like, okay, Manuel. So Ashley took the moment to affirm him. She thanked him for sharing this information because it really does help her understand him and why he, like, presses on certain things and why certain things set him off. I'm sure that this moment was such a relief for Ashley because it showed her that he is capable of letting her in. I feel like she's been chasing that since he landed, Ashley comes up with a plan, sorta. She's like, okay, listen, babe. Let's send them $100 right now. And then after the wedding is done, we can work out a monthly plan. He agreed, but then we see him talking to the producers and he's like, $100 is not a lot, which, sir, she has to clothe you, she has to feed you, she has to take care of utilities, the rent. Like, $100 is a lot for now. And you have to plan a wedding. Like, and she just paid for legal. $100 is a lot when those things add up. Again, I don't think she makes a lot off of her spiritual work. So, but he's still grateful. The most important part of this, though, is that he can tell that Ashley is starting to understand him. And you could tell that like, gives him some peace. But Manuel, funny how that happens when you speak to your fiance. But he says he loves her and this is why he's here. And I'm still on the fence on that. Do I believe he loves her? And do I believe that all foreigners come for the green card? No, I do not. I am, however, side-eyeing all of the secrecy that has led to this point. The fact that he has so much family, just a bus ride away from Ashley, and she had no idea, that's something that they glossed over a little too quickly for my liking. Because it's like, how are we building a life together and I don't know about anybody and nobody knows about me. Like, the few people that know about her, they know because they need to reach him. But yeah, there's just too much secrecy. So yeah, I'm not fully sold on his intentions, but they've been together for a long time. Something's gotta be keeping them together. And it must be love. And when I heard him say he loves her, I was like, have we heard him say that this season? I don't think so. But I hope that even though we're not seeing it, I hope that Ashley's hearing it. Because my heart, like, warm and fuzzy, and I was like, bars on the floor at this point. But, like, this is what you want to see, right? Like, sure, like, shit shows make for good TV, but ultimately these are real people, and they're trying to build a marriage, and, like, you would hope that it's not all bad. But anyway, suspicions aside, it was so sweet to see them like this. We see a glimpse of their chemistry. They're being playful, they're frolicking in the water. He doesn't look like a grump for once. And I was laughing at Ashley because she's looking at her fiance and she's looking at him in this state of euphoria. And she's like, oh, we're coming here every day. And I get that. He literally looked like a kid. He looked so happy, at peace, and I'm really happy that they had this moment. Okay, but I need to know, what vibes are you getting from these two? Are you getting a love vibe or are you getting a strictly business vibe? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. Do subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my recaps. And I'll see you in the next one.